Hi, and welcome to Transparent with Tina. I am Tina Marks, your host. Today's guest has her doctorate in psychology. She's a certified nutritional consultant, a certified life coach. She's also a leading fat cell researcher, health expert, weight loss expert, keynote speaker, award-winning author, and recognized authority on inflammation and its role in weight loss, preventing disease, and optimizing your health. Today, we're going to be talking about all of this: intermittent fasting, ketogenic diet, and inflammation. Up next, Dr. Lori Shemek. Welcome, Lori. So great to meet you.
Tina, it's so wonderful to be here. So thank you. You and everybody else. So
yes, and we've got quite the show today, and we've got a lot to cover. And we were just talking before I hit the record button, and I said I normally don't do this, but I thought about it. And you know what, everybody, I hope you're sitting down because hers is a very long introduction. And honestly, I thought, well, I should cut some of this out. And I thought, why would I cut any of this out? Because all of it is really relevant and very, very interesting. So I'm just going to start at the top, that you have your doctorate in psychology. You're a certified nutritional consultant, certified life coach. You're leading a fat cell researcher, health expert, weight loss expert, keynote speaker, award-winning author, and recognized authority on inflammation and its role in weight loss, preventing the disease, and optimizing health. You're known as the Inflammation Terminator. 4 books: How to Fight Fatflammation. Fatflammation.
Very
I love
good.
that. Fatflammation. Say that 3 times.
That's a tongue twister, that one. Fatflammation.
Fire Up Your Fat Burn, Beginner's Guide to Intermittent Fasting, The Ketogenic Key. The Huffington Post has recognized you twice as one of the top 16 health and fitness experts, along such other names as Dr. Oz, very impressive. #1 top 10 health and wellness global influencer in 2020. You've been recognized as one of the top 35 diet and nutrition experts and have been featured on CBS The Doctors, which everybody on this planet, I'm sure, knows what that is, have been featured on CNN, Time, NPR, Fox News, The Ricky Late Show, Oprah.com, Dr. Oz's Good Life Magazine, NBC Today, Health, Shape, Women's Day, Prevention, Red Book, Ladies Home Journal, Men's Health, The Huffington Post, Closer Magazine, Fitness Magazine, Everyday Health, and I'm going to just stop there because there are a couple more, but you get the gist why I needed to do this. I mean, it's like, that is, you're very accomplished. So I applaud you.
Really, that means a lot. So I appreciate that.
Okay. So before all that, tell us the backstory. How did you get, where did it start? Was it the life coaching? Was it the physical part? What was it?
Well, actually, it started when I was a little girl. So I was raised with a single mother and 2 younger brothers, and we didn't have much money. And my mother was struggling with her health all the time. I remember often just walking into her dark room, seeing her laying there suffering. And yet I knew at a very early age, intuitively, that she could make different choices. She smoked a pack and a half of cigarettes a day. She was verging on obesity. Her diet was mostly sugar and refined processed foods. And, and she was under chronic stress. So you can imagine raising 3 young children all by yourself with these health conditions and with little money, right? So you can just picture it. And so, as time went on, her health degraded and she died at the very young age of 36 only.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And she was just,
wow.
And she tried, and she was just a wonderful person and tried very hard to do a good job. But most of the mothering was left to me with my two younger brothers because she was just really not able to do a lot. So, you know,
How old were you when she passed, Lord?
I was 17, just turned 17 2 weeks before. And my youngest brother was 9 and the middle was 14.
Mhm.
So, you know, we were all separated. We went to live in different homes, never to live together again. But the reason that I think it's important for people to know this is because, you know, we all have choices in life. We really do. And literally, had my mother made different choices, she may be still with us, right?
Mhm. Oh,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. So I think it's so important to really drive that home,
Yep.
that, you know, just small choices, not even, you know, it doesn't have to be a lot, just something small every day has a powerful cellular effect.
Absolutely. You know, I'm so glad you brought this up because, you know, I'm sure you probably believe in synergy, right? And
Yes,
there's no
absolutely.
mistakes. That it's not a coincidence that you happen to be on today. I took a tennis lesson earlier and my followers have kind of been following me, and that this is a real big fear that I'm facing because I played when I was younger. I got a really bad message about it. I was fearful to get back on the court, and my instructor knows all this. And he was kind of talking about this very thing. He says, you know, because he could see in my face the first couple shots, I'm just cussing myself out. I mean, you could see, I mean, I'm not verbally doing it, but you can see that. And he's
Yeah,
talking about the importance of being kind to yourself and good to yourself. And, you know, it's that
so true.
voice inside of your head that's saying you're not doing enough, or, you know, you're not good enough, basically. Right. And that's
Right.
maybe what your mom was saying. So, you know what? For me, I know I'm just going to speak for myself. When I make bad choices and I make destructive choices about, you know, what I put in my body or whatever it is, it's usually when I'm not feeling good about myself. When I'm feeling good about myself, I make really good choices,
You're
right?
more motivated and aligned with what you're
Yeah,
doing.
I mean, because think about it. If you're like, I don't even care anyway, because I think
Right.
I don't know if all of us. I'm going to go a little deep here, but you know, that's just me. I think, you know, it's not like consciously going, you know, I don't care about you, but I think sometimes in life gets very overwhelming. You know, if you were to really ask yourself, do you care if you live or die? There was a lot of times in my life, like, the answer would have been no. You know, I don't really, it wasn't that I wanted to die. I didn't have a powerful force to live. Right. So it
Yeah.
made those choices easier. It's like, well, it doesn't really matter anyway,
Right.
because I don't really care that much. And your mom obviously was under that much stress, probably had no hope at all, thinking, kind of saying, well, it doesn't
This
really
is it.
matter.
Yeah. And that's
Yep.
exactly what she thought, and what many people like her think. They think, well, this is my lot in life. This is the hand I've been dealt.
Yeah.
And so and there it goes, you know, and there goes the opportunity to make new choices.
Well,
And again,
and the choices that they're making is like, well, at least this will get me through. At least if I can eat this junk food, it'll make me feel a little bit better. At least if I can smoke this cigarette. So I was a smoker. I get it. I totally
yeah,
get it. It's like your best friend. It's
right.
like everything. I mean, that's why it's so hard to quit, because it's like you'd rather give up anything except give that up, because it's an emotional thing too. So, you know, so it's the instant gratification as opposed to thinking, what's this going to do long term?
Yeah.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and you really understand. I think you have a really good intuitive knowledge about what is going on with people, that really, you know, and that's the thing, you know, and I've been there too, you know, where I've made bad choices and I've, you know, beat myself up, and it really doesn't help. The one thing you can do is say, okay, what have I done that's great? And it could be that day, it could be throughout your life or whatever, and focus on the good, and then begin to change your perspective. And that's really, you know, Wayne Dyer said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look
Things
at.
you look at change.
And I love
Exactly.
that quote.
It's your perspective.
Yeah,
Absolutely, Lori. And you know, when I want to go to beating up yourself, and I talked about this a
yeah,
couple shows back, it's been proven that it never helps. And it
yeah,
just makes making those bad decisions that much easier. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? You're
It's
beating
so
yourself up.
true. Yeah,
It's, you know, my book, The Domino Effect. It's like when you're loving yourself, You choose a behavior and it creates a domino effect. Either, that would positively impact your life. And
I
when
love that
you're beating
title.
yourself up,
Yeah.
all that one choice
Yeah.
that people need to understand, that one decision leads to another decision, another decision. So it's like, which path are you going to take? So wow.
Yeah.
And you know what's so interesting? You know why I like to hear everybody's backstories? Because, and it's tragic that this happened to you and at a young age. And not only your mom passing away, but that you were all separated. I mean, I can't even imagine, but this led you to your purpose.
Yes. And that is true. And that is very true. And so I said to myself, well, I know I am a very caring person. I know I really want to help others. And so I went into the field of psychology and got my doctorate. Then I did that for a long, long time. And I said, I think I'm going to go back to school, which was, oh my gosh. So I got my nutrition degree, and then I also got my certification in life coaching with the intent after I left counseling to create a company to really do something that I've always loved, which was health. And, I remember as a young girl reading health books, medical books really back then. If you're my age, they were, really medical books, or Adele Davis or something. But that was really my goal in life, and probably why I was so focused on my mother's health, her choices, because of that. I just knew that smoking wasn't good for her, that lack of exercise wasn't good for her, that weight, that stress, you could see it wearing her down day after day. And so, so I'm here to say that, we can make a huge difference with our choices. Yes.
Absolutely. So the psychology came first, the life coaching, and then you're
I created a business called HealthWorks, which is what I do my health coaching from. Yes.
Okay. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. And so it's simply what I do. If people need consults or they need coaching, that's what I help them with. I help them through all of those obstacles, similar to what other coaches do in different areas. But mine is, I started out with weight loss, with Optimum Health. Sorry, I had a business coach, and she said, well, what is it that you're trying to do? And I said, I want everybody to create optimal health. And she, thinking that that's what everybody wanted, which is true. But she said, Lori, people don't wake up in the morning and go, I want to create optimal health.
Right.
I realized at that point that is true. But what was happening is that everybody who was coming to my practice was overweight, and they wanted to lose the weight. So, you start with whatever needs to be fixed, but you do it via healthy choices, right? So no matter what, generally, when you lose weight, you're becoming healthier.
Well, exactly. And also the fact that you have the psychology degree behind you and you have the life coaching, you can get into why they're making these choices. Not, because it's probably not going to do any good to say, here, eat this, if you don't understand the reason that they're overeating anyway.
Yeah, there's, weight loss is generally two things. It's hormones and it's mindset, right? And it's understanding how you get in your own way and what really stops you in your tracks. And a lot of people don't realize that they're putting up those roadblocks, if you will.
So when you say hormones, let's talk about that for a minute, because, I went through that because I went through the change. And so my cortisol levels were spiking. So when you say gaining weight is hormones, what do you mean by that?
So depending on the type of diet you're eating, which most, let's say Americans, for example, are eating a diet that is a highly processed diet, high in carbohydrates, and refined processed foods. Even if they think they're eating a healthy diet, such as yogurt, orange juice, or whole wheat bread, that is causing inflammation in the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's causing hormones that normally wouldn't be skewed from these choices. So what generally happens is, you've got the hormone leptin that's not working properly, which tells the brain you've had enough to eat.
Mm-hmm.
These food choices are packed with sugar. Okay,
Yeah.
yogurt has more sugar than a candy bar,
Yeah.
often, most of the time, and a whole wheat bread can raise your blood sugar as much as 2 tablespoons of white granulated sugar can. And of course, juice is simply liquid sugar with vitamins in it. And
Yeah.
so, so you're preventing the brain from getting the message you've had enough to eat, because those foods drop your blood sugar so quickly, and it's not registering, essentially.
Right.
And and then you're encouraging the hormone ghrelin to rear its ugly head, which is your hunger hormone. And so when you get everything right with your diet, you start reducing the inflammation in your body. The hormone adiponectin is released, and AMPK. Is an enzyme that really helps lean you out and optimizes a lot of your health. It's a really important enzyme. But suffice it to say, when you're eating a diet that's inflammatory, you're preventing all the good stuff from happening. Instead, you're blocking it.
Exactly. And you and I were talking earlier about when people are overweight and they're eating this kind of diet, high processed foods, lots of sugar, things like that. And they might even feel full, but their body wants to eat more. And that's because the body is searching for nutrients that it's not getting in what they are putting in their body. So that's the other reason too, which I don't think a lot of
important point. That's an important point, because the standard American diet is generally nutrient deficient.
Yes.
And so all these micronutrients, but your cells aren't getting enough of them. So the messages being received are not being received. The cellular messaging, if you will, is not working properly. And, it's just, the health of the cell is the mitochondria, for example. I can go into that later if you want.
Yeah.
Is extremely powerful and important. The cell membrane, the mitochondria, two things that are vital to weight loss and optimal health.
Go ahead and go into that now, because you know what, you that's one of your areas of expertise.
Yeah. So inflammation is what I focus on. And if you are eating a diet, as I just mentioned, very refined junk food, fast foods, cakes, cookies, all that good stuff, you're deficient in nutrients, right?
Yes.
And these foods generally have sugar and really bad oils. Okay. The food manufacturers know that people love sweet things, so they add way more sugar than is even, it's ungodly, okay, if I can use that word. Then they should not have any sugar. Like chicken broth should not have sugar in it.
Right.
Ketchup or bread, for example. So these foods are causing are together with these bad oils, and these bad oils are corn oil, soy oil in particular is a bad one.
Canola oil.
Yes, canola oil is, everybody has its health halo, and that's good marketing, but it's actually one of the most inflammatory oils, along with soy. I think soy is actually worse, and corn oil. Those are 4 examples, right? There are others, but those are 4.
Yeah.
And so when food manufacturers make foods, they use these cheap oils that I just mentioned, and use sugar if they're making desserts. And what this is doing is it's the types of fats that you ingest become part of your cell membrane. Every cell in your body contains the type of fats that you are ingesting. So if you're ingesting harmful soy oil, or canola oil, your cellular membrane becomes becomes a part of your cell membrane, which then the residual effect is a stiffening of the membrane and the matrix inside the cell. And what that means is that the nutrients aren't able to pass this barrier, this cell membrane, which is very thin. Generally, for optimal health, it's supposed to be very flexible, right?
Yes.
But because we're eating diets high in these harmful ingredients, it stiffens up. The nutrients can't get in to do what they're supposed to do. The mitochondria suffer. And the mitochondria, we all have heard over and over again how they are the powerhouse of the cell. And that's true. Because without it, the cell cannot survive, which means we wouldn't be able, or not. If we, you see elderly people, right? And they're frail and they're slow and they don't have any energy. That is a sign of very few mitochondria and poor mitochondrial health. So naturally, as we age, we lose mitochondria, the amount of them, and we lose the vitality of them. Okay. And we've stopped biogenesis of the mitochondria, which means you're creating even more because for various reasons, we're not exercising, we're not eating the right types of foods, we're not eating at the right times, and a host of other things. And so the cell suffers.
Yes.
And when the cell dies, it's called apoptosis. We suffer. It's good to have apoptosis if you have unhealthy cells hanging around, like senescent cells, for example, which cause inflammation. They're just dying cells, and they call them zombie cells because they kind of hang around and don't go anywhere, and they cause mischief and inflammation throughout the body. But we want those to go away, but we also we want to increase our mitochondrial health and our cellular health overall. That membrane, we want it to be flexible.
Okay. And so what's the best way to do that?
And the best way to do that is with a healthy diet, with, we all know what that all whole foods diet. And so I'll give you my best options.
Okay.
But we want to use oils instead of the oils that I mentioned earlier. We want to use avocado.
That's what I've been using a lot of.
Oh yeah, it's great. Olive oil. The research shows olive to be the best oil of all. Okay. Because it's nutrient rich. And ghee is another one. Butter is another healthy oil. Coconut oil, another one. These oils are very stable, and the cells love them. So, and they're delicious.
Okay.
And,
they are.
Yeah.
And let's just, in case people are not up to date, I think most people listening are, but just in case you're not and you're afraid, you need to eat fat to burn fat. I think people, do you remember years ago, it was like everything was fat-free, and people were gaining weight. It was the opposite, okay? It's like your body, not only your body needs it to lose weight, but your brain needs it. There was a study that came out. My mom suffered from dementia, and David Asprey with his Bulletproof Coffee, I think he's the one that came out with it because he puts the MCT oil in
MCT, right.
Right. And what it does, the studies are showing that, with people with dementia and Alzheimer's, their brains are lacking fats. So that was the whole point behind that. So if you're not eating fats, you're not going to lose weight, but you're also starving your brain as well. Would you agree with that?
That's a really important point. Absolutely agree with that. And very important for people to hear that, because we often think that our brain is separate from, and it's not important, that'll always be there. And, but it is an abundance of research has shown that the type of diet that we have promotes brain health as well, and prevention of dementia. So we can, so the types of diets that I think are very important. The ketogenic diet is challenging for a lot of people because it's a very dramatically low carbohydrate diet, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the upside is that you're producing autophagy when you eat this way, which is what I referred to earlier is, we want to get rid of the bad cells in the body. Mm-hmm. It's really house cleaning of each cell goes through this, the machinations of getting rid of all the junky parts in there, remodeling it, and then creating essentially a new you when you do a diet such as this, right?
So people that are not familiar with the ketogenic diet, because you've written a book about that and also the intermittent fasting, that goes hand in hand. The intermittent fasting with the ketogenic, isn't that part of the ketogenic diet? Is the
No,
it's not.
You can do it that way for sure. Absolutely,
okay.
I've done it that way. Yes, but they're separate. But if you do them together, it's even more powerful, right?
You know what? I've done it my whole life because I was never a breakfast person. Remember, oh, it's the most important meal of the day. Well, I don't really care. So I mean, I never really ate. I never ate till noon anyway. And a lot of people have said, "Wow, you look a lot younger than you are." And I'm
just think you were naturally preserving your health.
I was naturally preserving my health. Yeah, exactly. I was like, I didn't really care what anybody said. I still don't. But let's get in the intermittent in a minute. So just basic outline for people that don't know what the ketogenic diet is. It is very low carbohydrates, meaning, well, everybody knows. I mean, vegetables are carbohydrates too, but we're talking about the carbohydrates that are not good for you, whether it's the breads, the starches, the rice, right?
Even starchy vegetables, like, sweet potatoes once in a while, but like no beans, things like that.
This is where it gets confusing.
Yeah.
Because I've heard that, like, I love sweet potatoes, and I've heard sweet potatoes are actually really good for you. I mean, no, they have a lot of estrogen. They have a lot of great nutrients in them too. Yes. So that's where I go, well,
Yeah. So what it is that if you're eating a lot of leafy greens, you're eating a lot of avocados, a lot of, really nutrient rich foods, you won't need to eat that sweet potato. Okay, that's just right.
But because you won't be craving it? Is that what you're saying?
You'll probably crave it.
You'll what?
I'm just being honest.
You will crave it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing about it is you'll be satiated from the high fat diet of a ketogenic diet.
Yes.
The high protein, high fat, not high protein, just moderate protein and high fat, right? And so those two combined, it's a lot of thermic energy to metabolize protein, number one. And fat is very satiating. And if you use the right kinds of fat, they don't necessarily get stored as fat.
Right. Your body's going to use it as energy.
Yeah, exactly. And especially once you teach your body to stop relying on glucose for fuel, which most people do. You're a sugar burner because you're like eating, 24/7. You have to have snacks between meals. You're literally relying on glucose for energy. Yeah. Once you stop that and you begin to rely on your fat stores and the dietary fat that you're taking in, then your liver is able to produce ketones, which then puts you into a state of ketosis, and the rest is history. And
what exactly does that mean? You're in a state of ketosis. What is that?
It means your body is utilizing ketones for energy.
Okay.
You're using your fat for fuel.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so, but you have to, it takes, some people get into ketosis in about 3 days. Others, it takes 2 weeks or even longer. So it's really important to use test strips or test your blood.
Oh, I've never heard of that. So you can, where do you get these test strips?
At the drugstore, online.
Is it kind of like testing your pH balance?
It's kind of not, they're urine strips. There are also breath strips, breath analysis. And also the best, the supreme way is a blood test, okay? Where you prick your finger and it can tell you if you're in a state of ketosis.
Not happening, Lori.
You'll know.
I said it's not happening. I'm not pricking my finger, but I will do the P test. Okay, so it's called keto strips. What are they called?
Yeah, they're ketos. Yeah, if you just go for keto strips.
Okay, and it tells you like what range and what to look for probably on the box.
Where you are, if you're even in ketosis, and if you're in ketosis, you're good to go. And that way, the way you've been eating is a good way of getting into ketosis, right?
Okay.
Otherwise, there's other ways of knowing that you're in ketosis and you have a whole lot of energy. You think clearer. Everything changes for you.
Yeah.
Some people lose weight, some people don't. It depends. But it's a really healthy way to eat. It's an anti-inflammatory way to eat. And every book I've ever written is truly anti-inflammatory. So that's, if I get anything across to anybody today, whatever you choose to do, whether it's intermittent fasting or the ketogenic diet or the Mediterranean diet.
That's pretty much what I do.
Yeah, that's an anti-inflammatory way of eating for most people. Yeah. And so that keeping inflammation as low as possible is truly the key to optimal health.
Optimal health, because that's where disease all comes from.
Yeah.
So two things I want to say right now, because let's go back to, like, let's say your mom or people that are just trashing their bodies. Okay. They don't understand that, your thoughts affect your emotions. Your emotions dictate your behaviors, right? So if you're feeling better, you're going to make better choices. I mean, it actually changes your brain chemistry, whatever kind of diet you're on. Like, I remember my thing was I would not eat enough, and I would get very depressed. And then I realized that I was actually changing. This is what I've heard to be true. And it resonated with me that I was actually changing my brain chemistry. And the reason I was feeling depressed is because my whole body was out of alignment.
Yeah.
And when your body is out of alignment, it's going to affect your thoughts and your emotions. And it's like, why do I not feel good? Well, it's being heavy for one, but it's like your whole body is like, if you're not feeling good, your body, it's time for a change, because you know what? I think we are meant to feel good. Yeah. And if you're not feeling good, your body's trying to tell you something.
And that's inflammation, Tina.
Yes.
So, fat cells produce inflammatory molecules. Mm-hmm. And the sad part is that these inflammatory molecules slow down the metabolism, and it promotes even more weight gain. And it becomes a vicious cycle. But eating the right way, the way the human body is meant to eat, the cells want you to eat, is going to produce the neurochemicals that are going to make you happier. I promise you that if we all ate well around the world, we'd all be a happier, healthier planet. And we wouldn't have so much anger and violence going on.
And we'd be able to handle our challenges better. Yes, I know that with me. I mean, these challenges you have, like your mom has, like we all have. Yeah. And they pile up. So we go, let me go do some bad behavior. But if you just stick and put good things in your body, you're going to be able to handle more challenges more efficiently. You're not going to get stuck in a rut. Now I want you to address this, because I'm sure you've heard it a million times. I hear it all the time when I talk about health and eating well. Yeah. And because I'm always chasing the next shiny object, whatever else could make me feel good. Right. And well, if that was, my grandparents ate this way, right? How many times have you heard that? And they lived to be 90 years old, or how would you, I know how I'd address it. I want to hear.
Yeah. And it's so funny you say that, because my grandmother lived to be 103, right? And almost 104, like 2 months shy of 104. Yeah. And yet she had dementia, the last, let's say, 7 years of her life. And so, but she ate sugar and she did all sorts of things. And I remember when she was 90, I told her, I said, Grandma, why don't you start exercising? Just moving your body a little bit, because she would sit there a lot. And she said, honey, if the good Lord wanted me to exercise, I'd be exercising.
So okay. She had a really strong faith. That goes a long ways. I'll tell you that.
But the thing about what I would say and what I do say is that, okay, look at the genes that you have.
Yeah.
You have longevity genes. If your grandparents lived into their 80s or 90s, you already have those longevity genes. You can optimize them. You can be healthier than your grandparents. And, and then there are some people that can smoke and drink their whole lives and live to be 104 years old.
Yeah.
And they just won the genetic lottery. There is the FOXO3 gene, which some people are born with, and they've got multiple copies of, say, and become super agers, if you will. And they live forever, and it seems, and they can, smoke every day and until they die. And
Yeah, but you're playing Russian roulette. But I guess what I'm trying to get back then, they didn't put all this sorry crap in the food that they're putting in.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
That
That's
it's
a really
like,
great point, Tina.
and,
Yeah.
yeah, and people are saying that's why they go, I'm not going to do it. My grandparents, well, it wasn't the same food. It might have been cereal, it might have been bread, but you know what? I mean, if you take Europe, for example, they don't put all that stuff. We are the worst fed, and it's why are they doing it now? To cut costs. It's corporate. It's all about corporate and making the money. So you know what? If you don't do your own research at this point in your life, then you know what? Then you're going to suffer the consequences. Because you know what? I'm sorry, I'm going to say it right now. You're being lied to. I mean, unless you read the back of the label.
What you don't believe. If it says healthy on the package, if it says
marketing,
low fat, natural, organic, it doesn't matter. You still must turn it over and look at the ingredient list.
And if you can't pronounce half the stuff on there, then so it's like you have to recognize that has changed. My brother was saying his air conditioning unit just went out. He goes, well, I think it should be okay. It's only been like 8 years. This is a perfect analogy. Okay. It's not long for an air conditioning unit now. When I first moved into my house, that thing ran for 40 years. But now what they're doing, but that was way back when. Now they're making things to only last a certain amount of time. Why? Because money. So then it got you. You got to run out and get another one.
And just the opposite with food. They make it last forever on the shelf.
Exactly. If it lasts forever, it's got a date of 3 years down the line. Seriously, what are they putting in that, guys? Seriously.
So and that's and it all really does boil down to choices. But I would say really look in life to reversing the inflammation in your body. Look to just let that be your health goal. Don't worry about your weight. It will come off as you reverse the inflammation. I have a book called How to Fight Fatflammation, and it talks all about that. It has the foods you need to eat, a 3-week diet. It just is so it's easier for people to understand how to go about reversing inflammation. But, if you do that, you are way far ahead of the rest of the pack in doing health.
And I just read recently, or somebody told me, but fat it's toxicity. If you're fat, your body's toxic. And this last year, I had put on 10 pounds, and I didn't.
The average was 25. Did you know that?
The average weight gain is 25 pounds?
COVID, yes.
Over COVID. Well, that's what I was thinking. Oh, maybe it's COVID. It wasn't COVID. Okay. I ended up having SIBO, which is small intestinal overgrowth bacteria, right? Because it was starting to get painful, And here's the thing. So maybe you don't have to have SIBO. So my doctor put me on a very restricted diet. That fell off. It fell off because we starved the bacteria. Also starved me too. That's why. But I mean, I feel great.
That's why we need to talk about intermittent fasting. Yeah.
We're going to talk about that in just one second. But people don't make excuses. Don't buy your excuses, because there was a part of me that goes, well, at my age, everybody goes, well, come on, that happens at your age. Baloney. Okay, if that's happening, you're gaining weight. Your body's trying to.
Reason.
Okay.
I mean, there is a case to be made for a drop in estrogen, a drop in progesterone, and a drop in testosterone for women, for sure, and men too. And then this naturally will put on weight gain. Our metabolism naturally drops. Like I mentioned before, the mitochondrial function begins just to slow down, and so you've got this. The perfect storm really for weight gain as you get older. So, but you can take care of all of that. The foundation of all health is diet. And then the hormone piece of it is you can do that naturally, or you can, visit an endocrinologist or an anti-aging doctor who can look at your hormones and see if they're in balance, if they're low. I know for me personally, I was just flatlined on everything when I was 50. And it was amazing. I couldn't believe it. I was like, you're kidding, really? I didn't have that many symptoms, but
What do you mean you flatlined?
zero, like very little testosterone, very little estrogen.
Interesting.
Yeah, testosterone. Yeah.
That's pretty young for that to happen.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so,
What was the cause of that?
well, it was just that being 50, was, that was the cause of it.
Yeah, it just zapped you.
Yeah. So it's something that you need to really take action on, because because that's inflammatory too. If you don't balance your hormones, get them all fixed up and balanced, no matter how you do it, just do it, because you don't want to live your life with inflammation. And a new piece of research just came out just a week ago, showing that those who have optimal hormone levels at middle age, even as after menopause, they prevent a 68% increase in Alzheimer's. I'm sorry, they have a 68% protection in Alzheimer's. So
if you have enough of the hormones.
Yeah.
And if you're deficient in your hormones, you're going to have an increase of
right.
Alzheimer's
And in this research, they used natural hormones, such as, that you would have the pellet inserted, from extract from the yam. And so it wasn't that people were the researchers weren't giving them, stuff from Whole Foods or whatever, to balance your hormones. They were actually given hormones that have been shown to really be beneficial for women. But, I thought that was a really important point, because, you have a 68 protection factor, and in Alzheimer's and other dementias too, by the way.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just
that is huge. I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah. Absolutely. So let's get into intermittent fasting. What is it? How do you work it?
Yeah. So a lot of people think that when they intermittent fast, they're starving. And that's what made me think about it when you said, about starving. And so I just want people to know, no, you're not starving. Okay. You will not starve when you are, not eating. Okay. In fact, your body is much healthier when it's not eating, because during the time of not eating, if you're eating, say, even 8 hours when you're when you're sleeping and not eating, if you don't get up in the middle of the night to eat, you go into a natural form of ketosis, a very mild form. And yet we get up and then we break that fast with breakfast. Fast, right? And so what they found, an abundance of research, which the Indian culture has known, and other cultures have known for thousands and thousands of years, that fasting is very healthy. They call it purifying to the body, because it cleans out the body, literally detoxes your cells.
That's what I was going to say. It gives you a chance to detox and not work because it's always working to digest things, right?
That's the biggest hit. The brain and digestion take the most amount of energy in our body. And so when you give your gut a rest, right, from your cells a rest from having to process all of that food, you think about it all the time. We're eating, we're snacking, we never give it a rest, because when you do give it a rest, then the body says, oh, I don't have to do anything except clean up, clean my house up. Right?
Yes.
So the cell goes to work. I talked about autophagy, starts repairing things. And we have, like I mentioned earlier, essentially a whole new cell in the making. And that's a really wonderful thing. And that slows aging, promotes longevity, but it promotes a whole host of other things, prevention against potential cancer and heart disease and, anything that inflammation causes, it protects from. So low grade inflammation is the core underlying cause of most illness, disease, faster aging, and weight gain. So when you are fasting, you're up leveling, if you will, every cellular aspect in your body, including your brain health. And so, don't be afraid of it. I always tell people to start out, just delaying breakfast by 1 hour. And then when they feel confident with that, the next hour. Ideally, what you want to get to is 12 hours at least.
Yeah.
And then for women, I say 14 to 16 hours. 16, maybe 18, depending on who you are, because we women are really fine-tuned hormonally, and it really can do a number on us, right? Because it can really affect your reproductive status, your organs, everything can be affected. So men do better with it. Longer fasts are fine if you're equipped to do them. Don't just dive right in. I had somebody on Twitter message me and he said, I'm into my 7-day fast and I'm having headaches. and I'm like, how long have you been fasting? Well, not very long. I've done a couple of times, 12 hours or something. And I went, don't go the whole 7 days without, just do it gradually, because you're not going to probably even get to the 7 days. And if you do, you're going to feel poor. You're not going to feel.
Yeah. I did the master cleanse one time. I mean, you
did?
could see on that for 42 days. I got after, like, I was doing it with my brother, and
that's so
all
impressive.
each other at work, and he caved first, and then as soon as he caved, they're like, because it just got boring to me. I mean, it's like, I mean, but evidently there's enough nutrients in that. But let's get back to, because the rule that I've heard is basically you want to be eating all your food in an 8-hour span, right?
Yeah. So 16-8 is the most popular,
or
12-12, right? 12-12 to start out. Beginners, I usually have them start. Then you could do, 14 hours without fasting.
I do. I'm thinking about it. I usually don't eat past 7 o'clock at night, and then I don't eat till 12. So I'm doing about 17 hours, right?
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's that's truly optimal. Yeah. And and if anybody takes anything from intermittent fasting, just know it's very protective.
Right.
It is, the ketogenic diet works in the same way, but you're eating. Okay. But you get more benefits from intermittent fasting.
Okay. So, and then one question too, because when people think of fasting, what constitutes fasting? So for example, I wake up and I have water with lemon in it and I put a little salt in there. You can definitely have that, right? You can have, right?
Well, technically anything with calories will break a fast. Okay. So, but I don't think there's enough lemon in there to really matter. It's not going to promote.
Oh, is that right? Because then I do my cacao bliss and it's got raw cacao in there, because David Asprey was saying that you could have the bulletproof coffee, but then he went back and said, don't put in the collagen, because the collagen has protein.
The amino acids will produce an insulin response. Anything that produces.
So I'm not fasting.
No, but you're still getting benefits, okay?
Okay.
You are still, no matter what, you're getting benefit of the lower energy input from food.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you're also getting the nutrient benefit from what you're putting into your body.
Yeah, because it's a superfood, and the water and the lemon.
And the water with lemon and salt. The sea salt is fantastic, super hydrating. And
really, people, I just learned that. Somebody I talked to so many people, said, put, I think it's like either a quarter of an eighth of a teaspoon in, and I really like the way it tastes, because everybody's so afraid of salt these days. But
it's terrible. It is. It's the bad salt. That's why people are
exactly. But the pink Himalayan sea salt. Dr. Robert Young, who was on 2 weeks ago, he has his own. It's called POUR salts, and it's 4 different kinds of salts, which I've got to order that too. So that's another myth that's not good for you. You
Right.
definitely need salt.
Another myth, right?
Okay, so all
Yeah,
right, so
just the other day on social media, there's research out showing that 10 olives a day markedly reduces inflammation in the body. 10 olives. Because olives are our fermented food, and most people don't know that, right? It's very good for your gut, and that's a whole other podcast show, gut health. But
yes, which I want to. Maybe we'll do another one just on gut health, because that is the determining factor too of gut health. Everything
is. It actually is, because all the foods that we've talked about, the way, the ketogenic diet, and is in part by optimizing gut health. And so these olives do promote gut health. Okay, and people are like, 10 olives, but there's a lot of sodium in that.
Put it in your martini.
You'll be happier. But that's the thing. People it just showed me how afraid of salt, but they should be afraid of the bad salt, the kind of salt in the umbrella girl salt.
Right. The iodized salt. Yeah, exactly. Tell us about your 30-day coaching program.
Yeah, it's I took it off for a while.
Oh, okay.
I was so busy, but then I've put it back again, and it really is, just really making sure that people have accountability, that they're there, they know what to do every day, and walking them through everything they need to reverse inflammation, to optimize their health, and lose weight, which is what most people want anyway, and this means you've got the accountability of a coach and somebody who really cares, and and you've got that cheerleader on your side. So you can imagine somebody videotaping you everywhere you go, in your life.
Yes.
You would probably do the right things most of the time, right?
Absolutely.
You had to deliver, so that's why coaching is a really great form. No matter, I've had coaches myself. And
I mean, if you don't have, I've said this so many times, you're really missing out if you don't have a coach or a mentor.
It's almost a guarantee to success.
So it should be a prerequisite for success, right? Yeah. Absolutely. It's somebody holding you accountable, because, it is lonely pushing yourself all the time, especially everybody on here is entrepreneurs. If you're going to work, your boss can push you or whatever, but if you're an entrepreneur, I highly, highly recommend that. Yeah. So are you doing one-on-one coaching then? Are you?
Yeah, it's one-on-one. And I also do, 1 hour consults for people. There are a lot of people who are very self-motivated, know what to do. They just need a little bit more information, say, they want to know what type of supplements they should be taking or anything,
So you can recommend that too, with the supplements and everything else. Okay, perfect. And what's next for you?
What's next for me? Well, I have a supplement line coming out.
Oh,
yeah. This coming 2022, we're going to see how that fares. And I'm really excited about it because, there's so many supplements out there that are, it's the market is just filled with awful things. It is.
It is. And it's like, where do you begin? I mean, there's so many, a friend of mine was, I don't know if it was, I'm not going to name the place, to get her vitamins. And I said, you got to be careful, because, when you think you're doing something good for your body, if those vitamins have a lot of fillers in them, they're actually harmful to you.
They're inflammatory.
People understand that.
So it's really, I'm really excited about it because it gives me an opportunity to really do something that I know is going to be very beneficial for people. And of course, reversing inflammation in the body and, reducing inflammation and all of that good stuff. So
perfect. And where can they find your books?
So you can find my books anywhere books are sold, except for The Beginner's Guide to Intermittent Fasting. And that is a Kindle only book.
Okay.
So you can find that on all of them on Amazon.
Okay. Perfect. Or in Barnes and Noble, anywhere else. Right. Perfect. And then, go Go ahead.
My latest book was The Ketogenic Key.
That's okay. That I was
That
wondering.
one
Okay.
is about, it's not about the ketogenic diet completely. It's about different ways to get into ketosis. So, because the ketogenic diet is not the only way. Intermittent fasting puts you into a state of ketosis. Exercise,
Yes.
supplements.
What's
Yeah. And there's
okay.
a combination or all four you can do. So the book talks about all of that. It gives you the foods to eat on a ketogenic diet and
I want a
how to do
copy.
intermittent fasting and all that good stuff.
Perfect. I'm going to get a copy. And your website is?
Dr. Lori, Shemek.com.
Perfect. Yeah, it's fascinating. And everything that I had on there I pulled a lot of it from there. So any last takeaways for any? I mean, we covered a lot, but any last takeaways?
No, I think everybody just, just know that in terms of, that you deserve to be happy. And if you're not really taking care of yourself, you don't know how to do it, just take one step. Okay. I want, just one step that is going to be a healthy step. And then from there, you'll have Tina's domino effect in play, and you'll be okay. So just
yeah. And you know what? And if you're not feeling good, don't think, even though you felt like that most of your life, understand that's not normal. That's not how you're supposed to feel.
Right. Exactly.
Understand. Yeah. So, you don't realize you're sick until you feel better. And that's kind of, you don't.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah. Good.
And that's a great point, because a lot of people feel like this is normal. And when they start feeling better, it's like,
like, why didn't I do this years ago? I mean, that's, hindsight, but it's true. It's very true. So if you're not feeling like amazing, then chances are your body's out of alignment and could use some correction. So thank you so much. I'm going to have you on again to talk about gut health next time. Okay.
I love that. It would be
such
an
a
honor.
pleasure.
So,
thank you guys all for joining us. Please, let's see, if you haven't joined my YouTube channel, please do. It's Tina Marks TV. If you haven't downloaded my podcast, please do. It's Transparent with Tina. And we will see you next week. Thank you so much again, Dr. Lori, and we will see you soon.